All right, good evening, everyone. I'll call the meeting to order. Meeting of the Carver Select Board for Tuesday, October 17th, 2023. This meeting is being cablecast and recorded by Area 58 Community Access Media, Channel 15, and will be posted by Area 58 on YouTube as soon as possible. There are openings on several committees. Please refer to the front page on our website for a listing and application. If we could all stand for the pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Carter, if you could read our community prayer.
Almighty God, humbly we pray your blessing as we concern our life with the opportunity to serve our community. Enhance us with your spirit of dignity and selflessness. May we become instruments of support and understanding as we seek to bring an environment of trust and purpose among all who provide the many services that make us all that we can become. Help us achieve the goals of our commitment in this office that is now our responsibility. And especially we lift our prayers for all the citizens of our community that we have been allowed to serve, that they may discover the fullness and joy of life that we all seek. And keep those serving in our armed forces and our first responders in our hearts and thoughts. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Mr. Carter. All right, the first item on our agenda this evening, as always, is citizens' participation. Are there any members of the public who would like to address the board? Folks, you just come up to the microphone and introduce yourself. Yep. Right there, actually pull up another chair if you like.
I sit too much, I won't stand.
I'm here to address the alpaca, Child's Play alpaca.
That's the application for a one-day liquor license that we have on our agenda this evening?
I was under the understanding they were applying to have the fair, so I wrote a paper out, but I'd like to read the whole thing anyways, if that's okay.
That'll be fine.
Okay, so I'm trying to keep the land in agricultural. As the
Excuse me, just for the record, they state their name.
Oh, I'm
Yes,
sorry.
yep, thank you.
Diane Mazzilli Gray.
Frederick Beaker.
All right, thank you.
Okay. As the trustee of the farm at Cross Street, I do not approve of these tent fairs. They are advertising 40 vendors, a pig barbecue, and a beer garden. When the Stocktons and I spoke on June 18th, 2021, we talked about the number of cars that would come on the property at one time. They stated one family or two families, possibly birthday parties. We were okay with that. We never agreed to hundreds of cars on the property. They're not using the property as they stated they would, such as keeping it clean and neat and proper housing for the animals, as they showed me they would build, and many more issues. The verbal abuse from the Stocktons have forced me to hire a lawyer and ask them to leave. And we definitely don't want alcohol on the property. Any questions?
So you are the owners of the property at
We're the-
14 Cross Street,
My
correct?
parents were the owners, I'm the trustee.
Okay. Okay, are there questions on the board on this? Normally, we don't have questions and answers on citizens' participation,
Okay. I
but since
know.
this reflects something later on the agenda, I'll allow it if anyone has a question.
I have a quick one. So,
Ms. Yons.
yes, thank you for coming tonight. So you have asked them to leave the property?
Yeah, we gave them legal notification through a lawyer.
Okay.
I guess the document's called Notice to Quit. I have a copy of that if you need to see it.
That's okay. No, have they left yet, or?
No, they don't look like they're making any attempt.
And when are they supposed to leave?
The end of October.
Okay. All right, thank you very much.
Okay,
Thank you.
okay.
All right. Is there anyone else who would like to address the board this evening? All right. Hearing none, we have an item, a 610 item on our agenda. I wonder, since we have these folks who are here to address the one-day special license later on in our agenda at 7:20, if while they're here, we might take that one out of order and just deal with that now. That would seem to make little sense. Any objection from anyone on the board?
No, I just don't see that request.
Last one.
Yeah, it's on the 720, request for one-day special license, Brewery 44, 2 Montello Street.
Is that the property that we're talking about?
No, I think that's the brewery's address, but this,
Oh, but the fair is going to be on Ms. Gray's property.
Yes, the location of the act, so the addressee, the address of the addressee is 2 Montello Street, but the location is 14 Cross Street.
Okay, got it.
And it's the very last page in your packet. If you flip
Thank
to the
you.
last page,
Got it.
you'll see it there. Any objection to taking this out of order?
No,
All right.
I guess my only question is, the people that presented this, are they here now?
Yeah.
Well,
Or, because we did list 7:20.
it's not a hearing.
Okay,
It's just so there would be no comment at that time. This is not a
Okay.
public hearing. This is just an agenda item.
okay. I just didn't know if we
Yeah.
had questions, if we had to ask them.
Yeah.
They weren't here.
Yeah, if you're uncomfortable with it, we'll leave it till later. But this, again, this is not a public hearing. This is just an agenda item.
Okay,
Would you prefer to leave it?
that's fine. I'll do whatever the board
Just
has.
for my clarity, so it's not a voting issue tonight, because if it's a voting issue, you want to hear from both sides.
It's a voting issue, but it's not a public hearing. So normally, if people want to speak, they would speak at citizens' participation. They don't get up and speak at the individual
Right.
agenda items. But yes.
Oh, so I was going to say, so I guess we can take it up.
Would you prefer to leave it to 7:20?
We could take it up now, I think. I mean,
I'm
if we
okay
need
with doing it
questions
now.
answered.
I just want to make sure that if anyone is uncomfortable with it, we'll leave it. Everyone's good?
Well, I'm just saying, the applicant, if we had questions, we would ask the applicant at that time, correct?
We could. Again, it's not a public hearing.
Yeah.
Right.
So normally, no. Normally, the applicant would not come up during this agenda item.
Okay,
Just like nobody else, unless we scheduled them to speak during an agenda.
okay.
item. But again, if you'd prefer to wait,
That's fine.
okay. So is there a discussion regarding this? Mr. Ryan?
Yes, I guess there's a question. So it sounds like the event is scheduled for 2 Montello, for 14 Cross Street is where the event's scheduled for.
Right.
And they're looking for a liquor license for that day at that site. But then I'm being told the owners of that property do not want them to
they're
hold
the
event.
trustees of the property,
Do
yeah,
not want the event held there.
correct. That's what she said.
Okay.
Right now, all we're talking about is the liquor license.
Right.
And they have stated that they don't want alcohol on the property.
Ah, okay.
Got it.
So irrespective of if our vote is just for clarification, not to allow alcohol.
Right.
I believe that's correct.
Irrespective
Yeah,
of that, we can't manage anything else besides
Right.
that.
That's right. We're
Okay.
just discussing the one-day liquor license.
Okay.
So with thoughts from the board?
I can make a motion.
Yeah.
Motion not to approve the one-day special license for Brewery 44 for the event to be held at 14 Cross Street. Liquor license, excuse me.
I'll second that.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor of the motion not to approve the one-day liquor license?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, it is unanimous. Thank you. Thank you, folks. All right, we'll move back to our regular agenda now, and our 610 item, the application for appointment to the Carver Cultural Council, a 2-year term ending June 30th, 2025. Melanie Terrell has applied for appointment. Is Ms. Terrell here? Would you like to just come up and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hi,
Hi.
I'm Melanie Terrell. I am a librarian at the West Bridgewater Public Library, and I have been a recipient of, well, the libraries that I've worked at have been recipients of the Cultural Council grants from different towns for the past few years that I've worked in libraries, and I would like to give back. I've lived in Carver for most of my life, and I would like to have an opportunity to give back to the community that I grew up in and live in right now. Yeah, I think that's everything.
Great. Thanks very much for coming in this evening.
Thank you.
And thanks for applying to get involved in the town. We
you.
appreciate your volunteerism. Are there any questions for Ms. Terrell?
No? Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you for stepping forward.
Thank you for your service.
I move that we appoint her to the Carver Cultural Council, Melanie Terrell.
Second that.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? It's unanimous.
Okay.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Appreciate it.
Don't forget to get sworn in, the town clerk's office.
Okay.
Have a great night. The town clerk is here till 7 o'clock this evening, so you could go right down there if you want.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Next on our agenda this evening is discussion and possible vote for the community electricity aggregation renewal. And the town planner, Tom Pott, is Mr. Bott here?
No.
I don't see him. Okay.
He was
Mr.
not
Fennis?
in today, he was out sick, but
Okay.
he said he was gonna try and get here
Okay.
for tonight, so if we.
Would you like to
delay that one-
leave this for a little
Yeah,
while?
Just to see if he comes.
All right, that's fine. We will move on to the 625 item then, the Chapter 61A right of first refusal for Cyril Lake Street, Assessors Map 8, lots 29, 29-1, and 29-2. You have information on this in your packet. And we also received an email earlier, or I received an email from a citizen that I forwarded to the board. If you didn't have a chance to see it, I asked Ms. Weston to print a copy and give it to each of you, so you should have it there. All right, and Mr. Roach, would you like to speak to this? So I believe we have 3 recommendations on this. The town planner recommended that we exercise the town's option to purchase, as did the conservation agent, Gary Flaherty, and the assessors recommended against. So, and I see Mr. Watt walking in behind you, so.
Thank you to Carver's Fire.
Mr. Bott, we're currently discussing the 61A.
Yes, sir.
So I know you made a recommendation to purchase, so
Maybe
you may
that's,
want to
that's
pull
more
up a
interesting
chair
than
and,
a recommendation not to purchase.
I consider this a joke and scaring
that's fine? All right, Mr. Roach, if you'd like to go first.
So, I mean, the Board of Assessors reviewed the notice of intent submitted by ADGA. They voted not to exercise their right of first refusal. In my experience, that's not atypical of the Board of Assessors to do. We typically don't look at planning for affordable housing or open space. You know, we're primarily focused with valuation and taxation. That being said, you know, where the other 2 boards have voted to exercise their right of first refusal, if the Board of Assessors, if it wanted them to take it back up again, so there was a unanimous vote, I'm sure we could do that. They meet next Tuesday. But if there's any questions regarding the right of first refusal process or anything else, I can answer that for you.
Can you, does this land abut any other conservation land?
It doesn't directly abut, so here.
It does not.
It does not?
No. It's,
It's right near conservation
It's
land,
across the street almost, isn't it?
in 2 different directions, yeah. Lakeview Street and Indian Street.
Thank you.
it's,
So if you look at that abutters list, the subject properties are obviously the ones that are a different color. And then the 2 circled properties are properties owned by the Conservation Commission.
Okay.
The yellow ones are owned by conservation? That's what it looks like here.
Then it's parcel 93-4-A. And then I have written on it, another parcel over to the left, 93-7-16. So
So-
those are both conservation parcels.
Correct. On this that you just handed
Oh,
out.
I see 93-7
The
dash.
yellow says it's owned by the town of Carver. So it looks like there are other properties owned by the town?
Yeah, so not all the yellow properties on what you handed us is owned by the town, correct?
Correct.
Just,
So-
just 93-7-16?
93-7-16 and 93-4-A.
Okay.
So 4-A is circled, and, so they're both circled, the 2 parcels
Okay.
that are owned by conservation.
93-4A is in green, though. It's not in yellow.
Is it?
So,
Yeah.
okay.
Oh. I made a different copy of the one than I have.
That's okay, as long as we're all on the same page. All right. Anything else, Mr. Roach? Anything else? On that?
No, I mean, if you have questions regarding, you know, rollback or the lien process or anything like that, it can answer it. But, you know, the board voted not to exercise their right of first refusal. That's all I can really say.
Okay, you could just hang with us for a couple of minutes. Why don't you just stay there, stay right there? Mr. Bott, what can you bring us from the conservation?
First off, thank you very much for having me tonight. I'm Tom Bott. I'm the town planner here in Carver, Mass. And I've been unfortunately away and haven't had a chance to kind of formalize my memo with Gary Flaherty, our conservation agent, regarding the property. Planning board's recommendation, on my recommendation, was to consider exercising a right of refusal on these two parcels. The map that you have there is done the best we can map out on our GIS. There's two parcels in red that are now three. So as I had written in a memo that will be formalized for you folks, and once again, my apologies for not having that. These RA zone properties are shown in a TDR sending area. This is typically we wouldn't want to see development happen at. And we're the subject of an A&R plan recently for the planning board to create 3 lots out of these 2. So what we have on the ground right now are 3 lots that are ready for building. There's 165, which would, and those 3 houses would likely be built with conventional septic systems on this piece of property. The prospective purchaser of the property, K&G developer, has previously built housing in Carver. This property is largely cleared and flat and is essentially ready for that sort of construction. In looking at the potential for a 61A property, I went and looked at what is the property, what is proximal to it, and what are sort of goals that might have been identified in the Carver Master Plan previously. My recommendation on this piece of property was that we consider exercising the right of first refusal for a couple of different reasons. One, that would allow the town to have control over the property. And if the ultimate disposition of this property is housing, which it will be emphatically because it's an A&R process, there's no permits required. You just go to the building commissioner and build a building permit. Someone will build 3 houses on these pieces of property. If the town opts to exercise their 61A right on this piece of property, then housing might go on the property as well, but it might be the town's type of housing. You could put 100% affordable housing on the property. We could take the property, we could purchase the property, do an RFP for housing, and ask a developer to build housing on the site. It's 100% affordable. It has the type of units we want, and perhaps even include a nitrogen-reducing septic system on the site. Now, these things are all subject to the whims of the marketplace. And as you know, interest rates right now are very high. So we're likely not to see a whole lot of activity on the site. But, we are here for the long game. That's why the plaque says, well, there used to be a plaque over there. That, we've been in business, for centuries, and we will continue to be. So this piece of property offers an opportunity for an interim use, perhaps as recreation, or perhaps as a long-range use as affordable housing. We oftentimes see 61A property, very large parcels of this, much of which is wetland, which is difficult to use, but something certainly we would want to preserve for farming purposes. And in this case, these parcels are somewhat unique. They are under 61A, but they are fully upland. They are fully developed and will be developed. So you'll see 3 houses on the site if we don't make the purchase on it. If we do, then we have time to consider the merits of what we might want to do on the site, whether it's for recreation, whether it's for conservation, or whether it's for housing. But it does present somewhat of a unique opportunity because the developer has gone through and done clearing on the site and really prepared a site for, that's usable without, an immense amount of expense by the town. So the ball's in our court. I suggest that we maintain control of the ball. I'm going to use basketball references because nobody wants to talk about football right now. So look at the merits of exercising that option. And then let's look at the big picture of trying to find perhaps a developer who might want to entertain developing housing. We are in a need for housing. We've talked about it over and over again. So this represents an opportunity for the town to exercise some of its own options, to develop the type of things it would like to see on the site and the thing it needs for the site, and also do so in a way that's more environmentally sustainable than it would be just your standard septic system. those are my thoughts.
Okay, great, thank you. And Mr. Roach, can you just discuss the rollback a little bit and how that works?
So a rollback is the difference between what a property would be paying at fair market value as opposed to what it pays when it's enrolled in Chapter 61A. So let's say, these lots are at, so I mean, the rollback for this would be roughly 38,000. I calculated it earlier, but it's the difference between what's paid under Chapter 59 and what's paid under Chapter 61. It's just the difference between the two going back for a period of 5 years.
Okay, thank you. All right, other questions from the board for either Mr. Roach or Mr. Bott? Mr. Ryan?
Just hypothetically, if the town were to move forward, the cost is 400,000? Is that what I understood in reading? And,
That's what was presented as the purchase.
and how would the town do that logistically if,
Well, we have a pretty, I don't know the exact number, but I'm pretty sure we have a large number in
CPA.
CPA funds for affordable housing because we're required to put 10% in every year and nothing gets built.
does that require a town meeting vote to use it for this purpose?
CPA? Yeah. Mhm.
So we wouldn't be able to purchase this until we went to town meeting I'm just looking at the timing of everything because it seems like they wanted to sell it, rapidly, and then the town would have to come up with $400,000 if we decided to go forward hypothetically. How would you do that?
Yeah, and just, Mr. Fennessy, just to tag on to Mr. Ryan's point, has the Community Preservation Committee met and discussed this and indicated a willingness to spend money on this?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
They have not.
Okay.
Well, they're probably not aware of it.
They may not be, but it's a fact. So,
And
Mr.
just to follow up on that, what is the timing of this? When was the expectation that the money would be available?
So we received this notice. This one's date stamped October 2nd. The letter's dated September 7th. I would have to look at my copy. I got this from Conservation. So we have 120 days from when we received the notice of intent, either by hand delivery or certified mail. So, you have a little bit of time. You have 120 days in which you have to exercise your option and then let the applicant know what your decision is, whether you're going to purchase it or not purchase it. So you have 120 days from the date of the letter,
Okay.
or the date it was received, I should say.
And from a timing perspective, when would the money need to be available?
That's not a question for me. I mean, that's how the town would expend that, I'm not sure.
So, Mr. Fennessy, if the board decided tonight they wanted to purchase the property, where would the money come from?
Well, the money would normally come from CPA, and it can be held off until, through an agreement with the owners, whether they would hold off until an April town meeting, or you could have another town meeting. But there's no funds sitting in any fund that we can utilize right now.
And what if the board voted to buy the property, but subsequently either the Community Preservation Committee or town meeting voted against it?
Then that kills it. Then we don't buy it. So
But
If we're
but
gonna
then
utilize-
the property, the people who are trying to sell it, it would be beyond that.
no, and
Are we
it doesn't
committed?
have to go to CPA. It can be bought by town funds at a town meeting. If you had an article to buy this property for $400,000, that would be the article. And you'd find the funding through, free cash or somewhere else.
Okay.
Sorry.
Mr. Carter?
Well, I guess do we know that it's, because part of the addendum here in the PNS says the 400, as if they can do 3 lots, but if they only do 2, it's 330. You've proven that there's no question that they can get the 3 lots out of it.
The planning board approved an A&R plan for 3 lots.
3
So there are
lots.
3 lots
Okay.
ready for building.
And then the timing of it, I'm not getting it. I thought if we were to vote to buy it, there was 120 days to exercise the purchase?
Correct, yeah.
Okay, and then town meeting is April, so that's 180 days away. So we wouldn't be able to have a town meeting before the 120 expired unless you had a special town meeting.
Yeah, or you can enter into an agreement with the owners and see if they'll extend that.
And if they say no,
Say no, then we either have
Then
a
they say
town
no.
meeting or,
Yeah.
rejects the, you need both sides to agree.
Yeah.
to-
I'm just looking at the timing of it all. Okay.
Well, that would be something we'd have to work out with the owner.
I think the owner may be here.
Oh,
Mr. Fennessy, do we have time to put this, to table this to our next meeting? And in the meantime, you can explore whether the owner would be willing to enter into some type of agreement to wait the town meeting?
Yeah, we can do that.
We have enough time?
Should we also
within-
talk to CPA to
within the
to see if
120
they'll-
days?
That's why we got this, so we got a stamp, well, from our office, 9/14/23. So September, we have 4 months.
Okay, so our next meeting is not till November 7th.
Yeah, we have 4 months to
Okay.
make the decision.
Maybe in that time, you could have some discussions with CPC and the owner and see exactly where folks are on that. That might help the board to make a decision. Mr. Bott?
Yeah, and if I could just add one other point that I brought up here, I think previously we talked about the town looking at doing their next affordable housing plan. One of those strategies we've talked about under affordable housing plan is creating an affordable housing trust in Carver. We've had something similar to that previously. And under the mechanism of an affordable housing trust, if you create this trust and you go to town meeting and you say to town meeting, we would like to create this affordable housing trust and give them a custodianship of a pool of funds, typically from the CPA. So with that mechanism in place, if a piece of property came up in the future and the Affordable Housing Committee looked at it and said, this is a desirable property that we would like, the Affordable Housing Trust can buy a piece of property without having to go to town meeting because they've already been authorized to do so. So back to the long game and looking at the opportunities we have for housing with the MBTA bylaw coming up, with the revival of our affordable housing plan. You know, there are some tools out there that we're not fully utilizing that we might at some point in the future. So just as a caveat to looking into the future, we consider the merits of those for our next town meeting as well, in creating something like that.
Well, what is the pleasure of the board? Would you like to take some action on this tonight, or would you like to defer this to our November 7th meeting?
Make a motion to defer it to our next meeting.
I mean, I don't know if we need a motion.
You probably should.
Think so?
Yep.
We have a motion to table,
Because
okay.
it's-
All right, so we have a motion to table till the next, till our November 7th meeting.
I'll second that.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion?
I do have a quick question on this.
Yeah.
So who is the owner of this property? Is it AGA?
ADGA properties, correct?
Okay, so the K&G development, the purchase and sale that we have here, that's,
Yes, so they're selling those initials, the initials start with an A, are selling to the initials start with K, K&G, which is
Okay.
Bob Goslin, someone who I've known for a long time.
so this purchase and sale that was from June 16th, so this hasn't been, that's just when it was first written
Yeah,
up?
correct.
So-
Correct.
Okay. All right.
Okay. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All right.
all in favor? All in favor?
All in favor? That's right.
Did we vote?
Take a vote? No,
We
haven't
haven't
voted
Oh, okay.
No.
yet.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, it is unanimous. So if you could just make sure that's on our November 7th agenda.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Roach.
you.
Thanks.
And Mr. Bott, you're still
November 7th.
November 7th, yeah. And Mr. Bott, you're still up because we are back to the discussion and possible vote for the community electricity aggregation renewal. So if you would like to discuss that.
Great. Thank you very much for having me. Perhaps you've heard, I'm Tom Bott, I'm the town planner here in Carver, Mass. I start many of my conversations that way to help me remember what I'm supposed to be doing when I'm in a room full of lights. We've actually, the item tonight is regarding municipal electrical aggregation. So on May 2nd, 2023, the town of Carver once again entered the electrical market for, I believe it's the third time, and bid with 24 other towns on a new rate for electrical service. This is my second time through the process, having done an initial buy in the town of Kingston. The process involves working with our consultant Good Energy and 24 other towns and making a bid within the commodities market and agreeing to purchase that electricity based on the bid price within a 2-hour window. So with authorization, previous authorization from the board in the town of Carver, I worked with Good Energy back in May. And so it is a process like buying anything else. There's a price available on the commodities market, and that price is good for 2 hours, which is why it doesn't come back to a board before someone makes that purchase, because there is simply not time for that. So with the previous authorization I had, working with Good Energy, we went to the marketplace and we bought electricity at a new rate of 16.178 per kilowatt hours. This is a rate that is for summer and winter, starting in 2023, and will be, starting in December 2023, and will be in effect through December of 2025, and will likely be entering the market again. So Carver residents will be getting a mailing in a couple of weeks notifying them of the new rate. And one of the most compelling reasons to participate in the municipal aggregation program is that residents can opt in and opt out whenever they like, and there's no cost for that service. Because Eversource has to go to the market as well, but Eversource is required to go to the market twice a year, and that's why their rates fluctuate from the spring to fall. And because they are locked into that rate, everybody in the marketplace knows when the utilities are going to market. So they're kind of captive to that market, and that's what the advantage of the municipal aggregation property is we get to decide when we go to the market. So we monitor these things and look and what is a good time to go for that rate. So currently, Eversource's rate from January 1, 2023 through June 30, 2023 is 25.776 cents per kilowatt hour. That's like twice as high. The current rate for July 1 through December 2023, we're at right now, is 16.078. So you can see how much the rate differs between winter and fall. So right now, that rate is 16.078, but because we already have a contract for aggregation, Carver residents are paying a rate of $10, or 10.47%. So we've been lower. We're going to be lower, and we'll continue to be lower. So starting in 2025, the new rate will take place at 16.178. Everybody will get a notice about it, and they can opt in or opt out if they wish to. So it's a very good program. It's worked very well for a lot of different towns. And I wanted to make sure, because this is that time of year when there's a lot of activity in the marketplace. There's a lot of activity in the marketplace on a regular basis. There are people knocking on doors, asking people about buying electricity. There's a lot of entrepreneurism and a tad, maybe a bit of sketchy entrepreneurism as well out there for these sort of things. But this is a proven program. It provides that benefit to the town and the ratepayers through that process.
And Mr. Bott, if people are already enrolled in the program, they don't have to do anything, right? They'll just continue to be in the program?
You automatically are opted in.
Okay.
And someone must physically opt out.
Good question. Ms. Hewens?
And I think this is still true. If on this program, the rate doesn't fluctuate.
Correct.
As it does
Yeah.
for
So
Eversource.
Eversource's rates change every 6 months. Our rate, this rate is good for 23 months. We considered the merits in discussing this with a conversation with our consultant and the 23 other towns. Do we want to look at a longer rate? Because when the war in Ukraine started and energy prices spiked, the market really took off. And so we looked at, do we want to try, the expectation is rates are probably going to go higher in the future. But because we didn't get as scintillating a rate as some of us might have hoped, then we just opted in for 23 months. So we locked into this rate for 23 months. At that time, we'll go look at that. But that rate doesn't change up or down. And if for no other reason, it is excellent for budget purposes for people because they know their rate isn't going to jump dramatically from spring to winter.
Questions from the board?
So this is, you would like us to authorize you to participate in this process?
Continue.
Well, perhaps that might be your vote because you have previously authorized me to buy the electricity, and I did. Like I said, the principal reason I wanted to be here tonight was to have this discussion with you and for the viewing public to let them know that while rates are changed and rates are subject to change, we're still going to have a great rate for 23 months. But if someone opts in or out of the program, they can. But if they sign up with somebody else, like Fantasy Energy, I don't think there's such a place. But Fantasy Energy might not let them opt out right away. No offense to the Fantasies, they're lovely people, I hear. But the flexibility that you have with this is just you look at it and go, what's the catch? Yeah. And the catch is that we are participating in the marketplace, and our consultant, Good Energy, they're taking on some of that risk that if they lose buyers, then they don't get what they're looking at. So the incentive is there for those folks to do that. So that's where we're at. While we'd love to have a lower rate, we have an excellent rate, and the best we could do for the next 23 months, and it'll still maintain being lower than Eversource. Because as you know, Eversource simply brings electricity to your house. You can buy the electricity from anybody you want. The rate that Eversource charges for transmission doesn't change, but that first line, where you buy your electricity from, is the thing that changes, and that's what people will see on their rate, that Carver aggregation rate.
Great. Thank you. Thank you for all your hard work on this.
If I
Mr.
may
Pettis.
ask a question? So Tom, after the 23 months, when that hits, are we subject to whatever the going rate is then?
Yeah, so in this case, we knew our rate was expiring in December of this year, so in May, we started talking about it. So it'll be that same process next time around. So as we start to butt up against that change 6 months beforehand, we will once again be coming to the select board asking for authorization for someone, perhaps me, to enter into that process and look at what that rate is. So like I said, I think this is the third time that Carver has done this. And it's a terrific program and provides just the nimbleness of not being a behemoth like Eversource or National Grid is at this point just paying dividends to.
I think it's a great program for the town, and
And I thank our friends at Good Energy, our consultants there, did a great job at monitoring. So it's highly technical, and they break it down for people like me who can understand this sort of stuff.
Mr. Ryan?
So are you looking for a vote tonight for a renewal, or are you going to wait and come back?
No,
when-
I think that if I had had a chance
Okay.
to take a closer look at the agenda, I might have suggested a
It's
little
just an
different
FYI
language
for
the
tonight,
agenda,
just
yeah.
to give us information, but you'll want us to vote in the future. You're
Correct.
saying you'll come back before us, okay?
We look forward to it.
Okay,
Any
great.
any other questions, Mr.
Yes.
Carter?
Yes. And I think we've been in this for quite a while, right?
3 years?
We've been this-
Yeah, I believe this is our third time. Typically, there's ranges from 18 months to 36 months that people tend to log in for. So when we first did this in Kingston, I think we did it for 36 months. And so it depends on the marketplace. Like I said, if we in May, if we saw an excellent rate that was not, like a pre-Ukraine invasion rate, we likely would have signed up for a longer period than 23 months. But just because of the volatility in the market, we wanted to grab a rate that was good and competitive and then look at the future.
But I think historically, the market rate has never been lower than the contract rate that we've had over the past, 10 years.
Yeah, and and like I said, and sometimes you'll see Eversource's rate drop in that spring to lower than that for that 6-month period. And like I said, in the benefit of the program is if somebody sees that, and it'll be posted on our website as well, what those rates are. If somebody sees that, they can go, well, I'm going to jump out of aggregation and I'm going to jump into Eversource for that 6 months. And then when that 6 months is up, I'm going to jump back out and back into the aggregation. So yeah, the rate is typically lower in the summer, and it's almost always lower in the winter because you can see that winter rate at 25,776 is significantly higher than the summer rate.
But I thought when this first started, you could jump in and out, but you can't do it. I thought you couldn't do it like on a regular basis.
Yeah, you can, yeah.
There was some particular point in time. For some reason, a 2-year window you had to wait before you get back in, is what I remember way back when.
No,
You can go out.
a resident can jump in
Back
and out at
in and
any
out,
time.
okay.
If you're, just looking to day trade on electricity, you'd be probably likely very annoying to the folks at Good Energy, but they get paid for that.
Got it.
So like I said, everybody will be getting mail here. Usually in October, November is when those mailings go out.
And could we get a rate for a 36-month commitment, just to see what it looks like?
Well, we're currently locked into this rate for till December of 2025. But I can go back and look and tell you what the rates were at that point when we did the pre-diagnosis process. But said if we thought we had an attractive rate for 36 months, we would have jumped on. And that is a collective decision of the 23 towns.
Got it.
Because we're all in the same boat as far as that contract.
And if we, being the town, wanted to get out of the contract before the 23 months, is there a fee we have to pay, or do we have the ability as well? Not that we'd want to, but I'm just saying if,
I don't know that, but I don't know why we would want to.
yeah, it would have to be a big change in the market of some sort that.
Yeah, and keep in mind, if there's a big change in the market, 100% of the people in Carver who are in the electrical aggregation can move.
Yeah.
So we don't end a contract.
True.
all those people just move their provider.
Individually, okay.
Yeah. So like I said, when I first saw this, I kept, looking under the paper or the fine print, like, what is the catch? But the catch is, we buy in the marketplace, we buy commodities, and we are more nimble because we don't have to buy at the same time that the marketplace is expecting these giant utilities to show up. Because what's their motivation to have a good rate for them if they know they're coming at this date? So like I said, it really is an interesting program.
Thank you.
All right.
Right.
So you don't need any type of motion this
I do
evening?
not.
All right, other questions? More questions for Mr. Bott? Everyone good? Mr. Bott, before you leave, just, I know that you weren't feeling well today, so thank you for coming in.
Well, I went by and made sure I wasn't going to give anybody anything before I came. So no, it's fine. There's people out there who have real problems and real health concerns. And those people have to do jobs that are much harder than mine and much more difficult and much less attractive every day. So
We appreciate your hard work as always.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, all right. Next on our agenda this evening is a discussion and possible vote on the approval of American Rescue Plan, ARPA projects. These projects were all presented to the board at a previous meeting, and we'll be voting tonight whether to approve them or not, or if the board feels they want to wait, we can table some of those items as well. We have a updated email from Mr. Fennessy. I don't know if you all got a chance to see it this afternoon, but it's all printed here too. And Mr. Fennessy, just so I'm making sure everything I see is correct, if the board was to approve all of these projects tonight, we'd have a remaining amount of $251,630.01.
Correct.
That correct? And does that include, I see folks from the school department here, and I know at our last meeting, you were waiting till I think the day after our meeting to open bids on the school cafeteria project. Did those bids come in line with what we approved last time, or?
We did approve in line with the approved, about 4% different, which is right in line with inflation in the Commonwealth. I passed that material over to.
Probably should.
So, yeah, if you could just come up to the microphone for a minute. I'm only asking because I want to know if there's more, if it came in higher, then that's going to eat into that
So,
$251,000.
Can I address that? So
Yes.
there's three additional amounts that are already in this. One is for the culinary, which was $45,626.
Okay.
That's factored in. There's $10,000 for electrical work in the town hall for all the equipment that we're putting in and the floorboards and all that. And there's $5,000 for the computer system that the fire chief is putting in.
Okay,
So
so
those three are already included in.
Those
this
are
bottom
figured into
line.
that remaining
So
balance
this
of
is the
$251?
Bottom line, unless something else comes in higher than we projected.
and it probably will.
It probably will, and that's good to have that little cushion.
No, absolutely. Thanks, folks. Sorry to get you up there. I didn't realize it was already in there.
Well, they're up, sorry.
Ron, we're back.
Back.
Well, we jump, I guess I'm not clear. The original vote we took was for 790. You just said the bids came in and there wasn't much of a difference, but there was a difference of 45,000?
$45,616.
Yeah, I see that. So that went up. Now, my question is the grant that you were trying for from the state as well, who was that stand?
We did not receive that grant. We applied twice.
Can you use the microphone? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
We did not receive that grant. We applied twice and didn't receive it either time.
Are we going to go a third or no?
At this point, you can't go a third. You have to have the grant funding approved before you start a
did they give
project
us
for
a
that
reason?
particular grant. They didn't actually. They just didn't approve some grants, and unfortunately, we were one of them.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Ryan.
There was also a question on the split units from our previous meeting as to the number and the cost and the bid for that. Did that
So
get
we have the
addressed?
number, there are 20 rooms, and the original proposal was for 12 rooms, and that was an estimated cost. I know Dave's here, I don't know if Dave wants to come up and address this issue in terms of, I think we did some outreach to find out if we could have someone come in and give a specific bid. And in essence, not to speak out, I think Dave has the information, my understanding is they, in essence, said, when you put the project out to bid, we'll come and give you a bid on the project
Okay.
in its entirety because it's so specific and so
Yeah.
detailed. They didn't want to come out and say, yeah, it might be this amount. When we put the project out to bid, they'll give us a bid.
Okay.
And that was, if Mr. Neef is correct. So we didn't go any further at that point, knowing that would only eat into the amount of money we had in reserve, which we really didn't want to exhaust that anyways. So I think we're,
Yeah, so we certainly would like to
We're gonna stay with
maintain the
that
proposal of
additional number.
180,000 to do as many units of the 20 that we could do. You know, as many of the rooms in the 20 rooms that we could do. And then we would build the other rooms into our capital plan over time.
I guess logistically, the question to the town administrator is, can we actually do that? If you don't have the bid in hand, can you still go for the grant money without the bid? Or do you have to have the bid to go for the grant money?
I have to look at the bid, the grant requirements, but generally, you have the bid and the
Yes.
amount that you're applying for the grant. This is a little different in ARPA because we have that leeway where it can be done at a certain amount and whatever comes in after, you pick up on the ARPA.
Okay.
So I don't know, I haven't seen the grant, how it was worded.
Okay, when we get to that item, I think we probably should go in.
One at a time?
In one at a time, yeah. So when we get back to
Okay.
that item, we can discuss this further. I think we should probably go in a relative order here.
Okay.
I guess, can I just ask a clarifying question on that to Mr. Fennessy? So I thought the understanding was that if this was approved, we would go forward and begin the project, then we'd be reimbursed afterwards, and then reimbursement would be based on the real costs, not
Yeah,
necessarily, they didn't have to see.
you're
the
talking
bid
about the
in advance.
ARPA?
We're talking about the ARPA,
Yeah,
yeah. So that,
No,
I
I
think
thought
that's
we
what
were talking about
Mr.
the other grant.
No, I think Mr. Ryan was talking about the ARPA funds.
Oh, yeah.
And so on the ARPA funds, we would go forward, my assumption would be if the board approved that this evening, we would go forward knowing we had $108,000, we would go through that process and then submit our bills after the
Okay.
process was done. That's correct, that's how the ARPA, it's a reimbursement process.
Correct.
Okay. All right, thanks, folks. So I think the first thing we should do, we need approvals on two items that have additions that we approved in round one. So one is the middle high school culinary reservation and we need an additional $45,626. Another is town hall IT. It looks like we need another $10,000 in electrical there. So as far as the middle high school culinary project, is there a motion on that?
I move that we approve the amount for the culinary renovation project.
I guess my question is, what
Yes.
is the amount we're approving? Could
It's
you-
it's
could we
not,
add
it's
that?
number 8. If you look in your first, page 1,
Yes,
it's
what a-
$45,626.
So you're just voting on the 45,626
Yes, the
additionally,
additional.
not
We
voting-
already approved
The,
the previous amount. This is just the bids came in higher than initially thought,
Okay.
so.
I just saw two amounts, that's where the confusion came from. There's an 836,512 on the amount side, and then there's a 790,886 approved for round one. So I didn't know what the difference was between the 790 and the 836.
So I believe the original amount we approved was $790,886. The additional amount is $45,626, which comes out to $836,512 in total. That's the total project cost.
Okay.
I'll
Yeah, just-
I'll second the motion.
Sorry, just for clarification, that wasn't done on the next line down from what I can see, but that's why I was trying to see why the numbers were not the same.
You're right, it wasn't done in the next line down.
schedule than I have. I'm showing the 8:30.
No,
No, line-
see, they didn't do it on
So-
this. They're going to ask us
We're
to.
talking about
If I
line
may,
8 right
Yes,
now,
yes.
in round 1, line
All right.
8.
If I may, again, those additional amounts are put into this spreadsheet.
Oh, that's what you're saying.
So that 45,626 is already in there on round one.
Yep.
So if you look at round one,
Well, you have understood that we need an approval for an additional 45,000.
Right.
Do we need to make a motion? We need to
Yes.
make a vote on
Yes,
that.
I just made the
Right,
motion, Jim
right,
seconded it.
it was going up from 790 to.
Right, but I think,
Okay.
I think Mr. Ryan's issue was, so on line 8, we added the 790 and the 45,000 together to equal the 836.
Right.
But on the next one down, on round number 2, the town hall, we didn't add the 10,000 and the 147. We left the amount is still the old number, the 147. I think that was, am I correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
That was my,
I
Okay,
think
so
that-
the new amount's 157.
Yeah.
Or is it 137?
Yeah. Or was it one?
Well, let's
right, let's
deal with
take
what we're
each-
dealing with right now. So right
So-
now, we have a motion and a second on round one, number 8, the middle high school culinary renovation for the additional $45,626. We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion on that?
No.
I have a quick question.
Yes.
So this 45, just to be clear, the 45,626 is the additional money from the bids,
That's
correct?
the additional money to complete the project.
Okay.
Anything else? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It is unanimous. Thank you. Mr. Fennessy, on number 2, the town hall technology. So the original amount we approved last year was $147,233.44.
Correct.
Correct?
Yep.
We now need an additional $10,000.
Correct, so
So-
that'll be 157.
157,233.44. Okay. All right. Is there a motion on that?
I move that we approve an additional $10,000 for the town hall technology project.
Second.
Motion and a second. Is there a discussion? All right. Hearing none. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? It is unanimous. Thank you. All right, so we'll move on to the round 2 proposals now. Let's see. So I'm sorry, Mr.
If
Fennessy.
I may, just so we clear all these additional ones up.
Yep.
Number one, the fire upgrade of the computers. It was 30,000. The 35,000 is put on the spreadsheet, so you're going to vote an additional 5,000.
So it's now 40,000?
No, it went from 30
Oh,
to
okay.
35.
All right. Okay.
Is that
Where's,
correct?
and where's that?
Why don't we, when we get to it, Mr. Fennessy, we'll discuss it, okay? So, let's see, the couple of these we might be able to dispose of pretty quickly. So the number 6B, the payment to Middleborough, we're good with that. We don't have to take a vote on that tonight. That's already been done, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can I just say that also is going to Plymouth County. We paid it out of federal money, but if Plymouth County approves it, we'll do a journal entry to switch it over and use up the Plymouth County money and keep open the federal.
Okay.
But
Thank you.
ask the question, why, we're talking about the 156, right?
Yes.
And it says they've requested additional information. What are they disputing on that?
They're looking for different things such as the emergency situation that occurred. We have to give a dissertation on that. They're also looking for a vote of the boards, the North Carver Water District and the Select Board. So we're supplying that information, so.
Okay. I think the first one we should take up in conjunction with that is number 6A, the North Carver Water District connection. So this is the meter pit that is on the Carver-Middleborough border in Middleborough. Middleborough is insistent that this meter pit be put in if they're going to continue to supply water to North Carver. So I think this is really important that we take action on this. Mr. Fennessy, I know you've had some discussions with Town Administrator McGrail over in Middleborough. Do you have
Yes.
anything to add to that?
Only that it's still looking to go out to bid. So this is kind of an estimated price, but we'll see what happens once it goes out to bid. Right now, they're in favor of putting this in, and they're looking for it to be done as soon as possible. So I think this is something that we kind of expedite through the process.
So if it came in lower, the money would just come back to our ARPA
It
funds?
just wouldn't be spent.
If it came in higher, then we'd have to come back and ask for a supplement from some of that
Yes.
remaining money that we have. And I guess the only question is, would this come from Plymouth County money? Would it come from federal
So
money?
generally, anything to do with water infrastructure comes from the county,
Okay.
so.
But you couldn't do, because of the need for, I guess, is there a need to pay it earlier? Could you pay it out of the federal and get a
We did.
reimbursement from that?
Yeah.
The 225 you?
Oh, no,
I
we're
thought the
still talking
156 you
about the
paid.
156, right?
I thought you were on the
Yeah,
225.
We're on the 225.
We're on the 225,
Oh, the meter,
number
the meter.
6A.
Yeah,
I
the
mean-
Yeah, we
225,
could do the same thing
you
with the
couldn't pay
meter.
that out of federal and get reimbursed
Yep.
from? Okay.
Same thing.
I think the difference
Once
was...
you approve it, yeah.
Yeah, the 156, we used the water, we had a bill. The 225, this still has to go out to bid. We really don't know the number yet, so
Mm-hmm.
we couldn't pay it tomorrow if we wanted to.
Okay.
But it is imperative that we we do it. So is there a motion on?
Make
Make
a
a motion
motion.
that we approve the North Carver Water District connection meter.
Second.
amount.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Discussion?
So I have a quick question on that.
Yes.
So, Mr. Fennessy, you said that that's as soon as possible. Like, what type of time frame is that?
So once you vote, we can have the check cut this week, well, next week at the latest.
Okay,
But the time frame falls on them of when they put it in.
right.
They still have to go, they're going through the bid process and putting together a package of what they need. You know, and it includes electrical and other things too, not just putting a pipe in a meter, so.
Right, but, I mean, do we have any idea what type? I'm just concerned. I know a lot of people wondering if some, to switch over, if that's going to happen. But how long before that meter actually gets installed? Best case scenario, worst case scenario?
Best case, I would say 3 months after they get the bids,
Okay. Okay, thank you.
if they have the money from us.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
So just to follow up to Mr. Hoffman's question, you said if we approve it, we can cut a check. So would we be cutting a check to Middleborough? We don't have a number yet, so what?
Right.
So, no, we don't have a number, but I'm sure they'll take anything as a down payment.
Okay.
We could cut a check or
So
wait.
we're not going to
we could
wait till the bid comes in to pay the bill. We're going to transfer some money
Yeah,
here?
I would think it's a good faith showing to the town of Middleborough. I know, there's concerns there that the delay in getting paid might be an issue.
Okay.
So the good thing is that we have this federal money sitting there to utilize for these projects as we go forward, and then reimburse that federal fund once we get approval from Plymouth County.
All right. Thank you. All right, so we have a motion and a second on this. Any further discussion?
And just
Mr.
one
Ryan.
quick one. There's no complexity with the fact that this is Carver going for the grant money, but it's going to be paid to Middleborough because the meter's going to be installed in Middleborough in their town. So
No,
there's-
but it's for the
that's
benefit
fine.
of Carver.
Okay, so that's fine. All right, thanks.
There's an agreement that's been drafted by council.
Okay, thank you.
And just a side note, when we switch over to Middleborough Water, for whatever reason now, are we paying Middleborough directly? Are they getting a payment if we have to go to Middleborough Water for 2 weeks? Are they getting a payment from the North Carver Water District for that 2 weeks?
So they will, once the bill is, and that's one of the problems I have in the meter pit, is it takes a long time to figure out how much that we owe them for taking water. That happened this last time when we were on extended length of time. This time we're on a shorter period. It should switch back over to Carver actually tomorrow. So
Okay.
it
So this will help the
depends, yeah.
situation. This will
Yeah, well,
definitely
they'll
help.
know
We'll
exactly how much
But
water
it's not going to be that much.
I mean,
this time.
that's why we're putting this in, so we know exactly what the
Yeah.
water usage is.
And that's what they want to know too,
Yes.
because it's actually their water that they're.
Yes, okay.
Right. And I should just add that Mike Palmieri from the North Carver Water District wanted to be here tonight. He ended up having to work late, so he couldn't make it. So we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? It is unanimous. Thank you. All right, so let's go back up to the top, number one, the Fire Upgrade 19 Fire Department computers. So the new number on this is 35,000, correct,
Correct.
Mr. Fennessy?
So I'd make a motion that we approve the additional 5,000.
Well, you don't have to. Now you can just approve the actual numbers.
Oh, okay, I make a motion that we approve the $35,000 for the fire department updated computers.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion?
Just a quick
Mr. Ryan.
question on, there's two categories here we're voting on, federal funds, so the ones in orange
Well,
are
you're
just
you're
for
not
clar-
actually voting on the funding source.
Okay, so you just
I'll
vote
do
for,
that when we look
I
at
see.
how.
So we're just
best to
voting for
utilize.
ARPA, and then you'll figure
Yeah.
out where the source is.
That's just the indicator,
So-
for our information, that's just an indication of where the funds will most likely come from.
Yeah, and you'll see these are in orange because we met with the county treasurer and the commissioner, and we went over all these projects, and these are the ones they definitely said would not go through with Plymouth. So these are the federal.
All right, thank you.
monies, but-
So do you know if these fire department computers were on the capital outlay list, 5-10-year plan?
No. But why don't you, Chief, if you wouldn't mind coming up to the microphone for a moment.
Thank you. Just to answer your question, they were not part of our capital plan. We honestly did not know about this until, I would say, 6, 8 months ago. We started to make some upgrades, and through our IT department and consultants, they told us that Windows 10 was no longer going to be serviced anymore, and the computers that we currently have were over 6 years old with the new fire station, and they were not upgradable to Windows 11, so our service was going to stop. And they run a lot of our critical infrastructure for 911 and responses, so they were not part of a capital plan. If it's not approved, we're going to put it on a capital plan.
Sure.
But we just thought this was a better, smarter way to use the money right now.
Thank you.
Anyone else for the chief?
No, I have for Mr. Fennessy a quick question. So the 251,630 leftover amount that we had, so what we're voting on tonight, that is, if all these were approved, that's what,
Yep.
okay, so
That'd be the balance.
We're just commingling the federal and the opera.
Yeah, it's just one big bank account.
Right.
With two different, accounts in it.
okay,
So we get paid one way or the other.
gotcha, okay,
Better to use their money before we use ours.
That's right.
yeah, okay, thank you.
Okay, anything else? All right, so we have a motion and a second on item number 1A. All in favor?
Was there a second?
I thought there was a second.
I'll second it if there
There's a
wasn't.
second now. Now we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? It is unanimous, thank you. Number 2 is EMS, the Lucas 3 chest compression system.
Move to approve.
Second,
All right, motion and a second, discussion? All right, hearing none. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Unanimous, thank you. Number 3, the EMS McGrath video laryngoscopy system.
I'll move to approve, 788762.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second, discussion?
good job on that.
Thank you, I
pronunciation.
practiced. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? It is unanimous, thank you. Number 4, the public safety ballistic protection.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Motion and a second, discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Unanimous, thank you. Number 5, the EMS Community Emergency Medical Services Response Unit.
Motion to approve?
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second, discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Unanimous, thank you. We already took care of 6. Number 7A, Police Records Management System for a total of $357,185.34. So, Mr. Fennessy, so 246,000 was approved round 1, and an additional 111,185.34 is requested in round 2. So all we're approving tonight is $111,185.34.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Yeah, I got some questions.
Motion and a second, all right, discussion, Mr. Carter.
I did watch some of the, I watched the video, the last meeting, I couldn't make it, but, should we be bringing in this vendor with our IT, head of IT, to really go through this contract? Because from what I could see, we're looking at a data conversion issue, but it's converting their own data, and there's significant costs there. And then we've got, I think we're paying, I think the chief said $19,000 a year maintenance with the prior system, and now we're going to $45,000 a year. I don't know. I mean, this is just, I'm almost saying, take out the system, we'll get something else, but I'm
Yeah,
not
I
an
mean, the
expert in it.
system that he has now is on its last,
Yeah, it's got 3-4 years
it's on
left.
the
Yep.
deathbed.
Yep.
Yeah.
But I'm
So
just
he's
saying.
looking, where this money was available to move it forward now, or we can defer it and then put it on the capital plan and buy
Well,
it later.
I would just recommend deferring this vote on the extra until we really, bring in this vendor with our IT guy, so that we can kind of argue costs and try to leverage this thing to reduce this price.
Yeah, and there's not many systems they have to choose from with the police software.
And
It's not like,
Mr.
Well,
Ryan.
oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry, I'm just recalling our conversation. We did have those conversations that night, in the meeting, and our IT person was a representative at the meeting and is involved to some degree with this. What I understood is the old system was purchased by this company, so they took it over, and now they have their own systems that they have to convert to. And they're also one of the top ones in Massachusetts. It's not really a standard, so to say, but they are one
It
of
is,
the,
yeah.
they're one of the top recommended ones in the state. So the chief wants to stick with what everybody else is using. He'd like to see the state at some point, everybody get on the same page so they can share information between, the departments. But yeah, he recognized that, and it was a lot of this was license fees, unfortunately, and the high cost of converting the data. And I asked the same question. It's the same company, but I was told that it's a different system because, but I do know, being in the industry, kind of, there's probably tools already generated for that, and in some respect, they are charging a lot, but I don't know that we can do any better at this time. And one of the issues was, if the ARPA funds are available now, why don't we just use them? If you put this on the capital plan, we're just paying it out of our own money anyhow to the citizens of the town. If you do the ARPA funds, then at least he's getting what he needs, which is the upgrade he needs with the ARPA funds.
Yeah,
So
and if
that's
we-
kind of why I got past.
That's right, and-
I got past the license fees and the
Yeah.
data conversion fees, which were unfortunately high.
Yeah.
And the chief
agree.
did do extensive research into
He
this.
did.
Again, we
Did.
approved a lesser amount last year. We discussed it at that time. This is just turned out to be a lot more than we initially thought, which is why we're back on
Correct.
on
And
this
if we,
amount.
and if we approve this now, and they manage to bargain it down somehow, then that's fine. And
Right.
it doesn't all
Maybe
gets back.
they can work on that, but at least we've got the
Yeah.
approval, as you're saying.
Okay, so what bucket does this fall into? I've got water, sewer infrastructure, broadband infrastructure, public sector revenue loss, negative economic impacts, and supporting public health.
It
So
was,
this is,
sorry, to answer, it was
So-
if it improved the ability to be able to
To respond.
communicate, to
Yes, I
respond,
believe that's
if
where
you
it
got
came from.
cruisers.
so
and-
the intent is to put this in through, well, we're going to put it in anyway through Plymouth County and hope that it's picked up that way.
But what category?
What category? For public safety.
I mean, those categories
Those are
are
all
very
cat-
broad.
yeah.
And you
Yeah.
can't get too literal with those. I know from our
I know,
conversations
it's
with
not
Plymouth
like
County.
just
those
water
are-
or fiber.
Yes.
Or, those are broad, like the fiber, if this touches networks, it could be categorized as part of fiber. There's,
Infrastructure.
yeah,
Yeah,
and the
infrastructure.
infrastructure.
You had a discussion
Yeah.
with Tom O'Brien about this, right?
Yeah,
Treasurer
yeah.
O'Brien.
And he said, potentially it would be approved. He wouldn't commit. So if it's not approved, then it would go on the other side.
I think it was
Which will make
improved
it-
access to the information by the officers remotely in the,
And that's
I
the
think
part,
this is what the
where
key
in a
was here.
pandemic, and he kept saying, what would
Right.
you, what would be the benefit if there was another pandemic?
right, they
To
had better
having this.
access to the information.
So, and being able to share that information without
I think
going
it's a
in the
valid,
office and face to face.
I think it's a valid initiative. I just think as long as we have the ability to go back and try to get this cost down.
Yeah. I think if there were competing interests, and right now, this has been doing this for over a year, and we've gotten to the point where we've gotten all the projects that have come forward, and there's nothing else competing with that right now. So it's probably best to look at using that
Yeah.
and getting it going, because, you start going up against a deadline too.
And I think the other thing is, this is sort of a specialized system. And I think the chief did a lot of research into what would work best for the department. And I think at some point, could we maybe save a little money somewhere else? Well, maybe. But I think looking long-term, what we really want is what's best for the department. And I think the chief has done his homework here,
Do
so
we have a motion?
Yeah, I made a motion
We do
to
have a
approve.
motion.
Second it?
I don't know, I don't remember a
I'll
second.
second it. if it
Oh, I
was-
think he did.
Oh, I did, all right.
All right, there we go.
It's never written down.
So we have a motion and a second. Is there further discussion? Mr. Carter, do you have anything else?
Nope, I said my piece.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It is unanimous. Thank you. Next is item 7B, the two speed alert radar message signs.
Motion to approve.
Second?
Motion and a second. Discussion? Hearing none. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It is unanimous. So now we're back to number 8, the school split units. So we have Carver Middle School to provide AC to 12 interior classrooms.
Motion to approve.
Motion?
Second.
There a sec, we motion and a second. Discussion?
Yeah, get some questions.
Yep. Okay. Folks, welcome back.
So I watched me the other night and I just said, is this a stopgap measure to a bigger problem?
Dave, I'll let you take
Build a new
from,
school.
from the HVAC perspective.
So what this is doing, it's putting air conditioning back in classrooms that originally, when the building was built, had air conditioning. Those systems are now 40 years old. The mechanical portion of the air conditioning has failed. What this will do, we're still going to utilize there's univents. Every classroom has a univent. Originally it provided heating, ventilation, and air conditioning. The air conditioning portion has failed. We're still going to utilize the univents to provide heating and fresh air. We're going with split systems to provide air conditioning. It's our cheapest option without a complete mechanical rehab of the building, which is not a wise financial decision.
What's the number? To do the complete rehab and just fix it?
To do a
Yeah.
whole,
Yeah.
I can't answer that because DESI doesn't even allow univents in classrooms anymore because of the DBA, because of the noise level. I mean, that would exceed, it would exceed your threshold of percentage. If you, over the evaluation of the building would have to be brought to full compliance at that point, meaning
Sprinklers.
life safety, sprinkler
Yep.
system, everything. You're looking at a new school. So this is an option to bring air conditioning back into interior classrooms that don't have windows, provide some comfort without turning this into something that we don't need right now, which is a new school.
Yeah, but I'm just looking at, we've got, even if you thought about a new school, you look until 2043.
Well, I think,
until the other ones
Mr.
build off.
Carter, I think a discussion of a new school is way off the agenda here.
No, I'm just talking about this is related to the $108,000 maintenance, and I'm just saying, are we looking at doing, more of these types of fixes with, instead of trying to do some kind of bigger overall expenditure to fix it? Not a new school,
Right, no, but
are we looking at more expenses like this down the road?
Well, in 2018, we put on a 30-year roof through accelerated repair, new roof, windows, doors,
Yep.
boilers. We're actually having, through an energy grant, insulation that'll be done in the school this year to improve the insulation, drafts, things of that nature. The structure of the building, yes, I'm continually doing LED lighting. I don't see any large scale, of course, I don't have a crystal ball, but the bones of the building are good.
Good, okay.
So what we're trying to do here is just bring comfort to interior classrooms that late spring, early fall, it gets tough in those classrooms.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
You're
I had a question. Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay. So, Mr. Neef, you mentioned that you had 20 rooms that needed them?
Yes.
Can we get 20 rooms with mini splits instead of just 12?
There'd be more, the cost would be more.
I
Wouldn't be
understand.
Wouldn't be $180,000.
And these are rough numbers right now. We haven't, this would have to go out to public bid, so we don't know. These are our best guesstimates right
No,
now.
I understand.
So if this money is approved, we will get as many as we can. And go from there.
I mean,
So would that amount maybe cover more than 12?
Possibly.
Okay, because it would be so great to have all the rooms with proper ventilation.
And what we've done currently, the capital plan that we presented to the school committee in the beginning of October had, in the out years, money put aside to complete and do all 20 rooms. So we have 180,000 for opera, and in essence, the other half
Okay,
would be through capital over the next 2 years.
great.
And again, it's possible at the end of this process that we'll have some money left and we can address some other issues, but there's only so much. So, Mr. Hoffman, did you have?
So just to follow up, so the total number of interior classrooms that could use air conditioning is 20?
20,
In the whole school?
yes.
Okay, thank you.
All right, anything else? So we have a motion, I'm sorry, was there a second?
I don't recall. who was
I
it.
don't recall. was-
Seconded by Dan.
Okay.
Dan.
All right, sorry.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? It is unanimous. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thanks, thanks.
Next item, number 9, the COA, Council on Aging Kitchen Equipment.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Motion and a second. Discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Unanimous. Thank you. Number 10, the E911 VoIP telecommunications compliance upgrades.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Motion and a second. Discussion? Hearing none. All in
Oh,
favor?
Wait, I'm sorry, excuse me. So we approved 49,000 of that, right? So is all we're asking for is 7,700 and change?
No,
No,
so the whole 57.
okay,
Yep.
sorry,
The schools had to do it by mandate,
okay.
so they did it already,
Got
their
it.
side. Now we're doing the town side. But it all comes under this one price.
Okay,
Okay, so just to be clear for everyone, the number we're looking for is $57,542. Okay. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous, thank you. Let's see, number 11, the police laptop computers for police cruisers.
motion to approve?
Second.
Motion and a second. Discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It is unanimous. And the final item, the EOC modernization, the Emergency Operations Center. Again, this is something we discussed last year, and we didn't quite have a number, so we're back this year.
Motion to approve.
So,
Second.
okay, can I, if I may?
Yep, sure.
So one of the issues on this, when we met with the county, is that they would not agree to, or they suggested that it wouldn't pass with the furniture put in there.
Okay.
So we're gonna have to remove the furniture, so that'll go down a little, but I suggest we still vote at that level.
Vote the
It
number,
might
and then
cover
we can
the-
come up,
yep.
you come back with an
Yep.
upgraded number, and we'll
It'll
have
be
some.
less.
Okay,
And then, yeah.
okay. Is there a motion on this?
It was, and second.
Motion to, Dan made
Either
the
one.
motion,
We
I
had a motion.
seconded.
Was there a second? All right.
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none.
Nope.
Yes, Mr. Carver?
Nope, no
Oh,
question.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? It is unanimous. Thank you. I believe that is it
That's it?
for our ARPA projects.
Okay.
All right, give me a second here to get back. Let's see, we'll get back to our agenda here. All right, so the next item on our agenda, we had an open meeting law complaint from a gentleman, Patrick Higgins, from Northport, Alabama, and is a recommendation from town administrator that we ask council for a response to this. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion to, oh,
Second.
Motion and a second. Discussion? Hearing none. Do you have anything to add to this, Mr. Fennessy?
No, it's just, it's a group that goes around looking for any little thing to make a complaint on. So, and it's not just us.
All right. We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? It is unanimous. Thank you. Let's see. Town administrator update. Mr. Fennessy.
So when I put a cough drop in my mouth. Okay, so a couple of things. One, the Ward Street closure.
Yeah.
On October 2nd, Highway Superintendent notified me that a culvert on Ward Street, which is a street leading up to South Meadow Village, had washed out and the road was deemed a risk to traffic. When we went down, I went there with Dave Siedentoff, and the barriers were put up in place with detour signs. We applied for an emergency determination with the state, which allowed us to immediately seek an engineer to assess the damage and prepare a plan to repair. I sought out a request for funding through the state, but I'm still waiting a response. We don't have a dollar figure on the cost yet, but we'll get that once the full engineering study is done. Since the initial failure surrounded the culvert, the street has opened up now a sinkhole, which is very concerning. It's concerning not only to, obviously, to vehicles, but even to bicycle traffic or people walking there. So they cordon that whole thing off. In the meantime, our public safety chiefs and the DPW were able to secure passes to utilize the airport as a cut-through to reduce the amount of time it takes to get services, emergency services to South Meadow Village. So that was really good that we were able to do that. So it's just right now, we had an engineer come down, look at it. He submitted a first preliminary report Then we're going to look at what it's going to take to actually fix it and try and get a cost. Now, payment, if there's no funding available outside, then probably we would have to either hold it off till town meeting or have a special town meeting or look for some other funding source. Depends on what it comes in as the cost. I mean, a small cost, you may be able to fit it in. If it's $500,000 cost, there's no way. We can utilize, if it's small cost, we utilize some money from the finance committee funds that they have, and then through our budgets. But that's kind of where we stand.
Okay.
North Carver Water District, we talked about this a little earlier, just to update the folks out there. Last Friday, I received a call from Mike Palomari, who's the chair of the North Carver Water District, regarding an emergent situation that a pipe had burst at the water plant and it depleted the water in the holding tank. Working in conjunction with Mark Townsend and the Middleborough Town Administrator and Chair of the Select Board, we were able to have an agreement reached to refill the tanks to capacity by utilizing a Middleborough connection. It was turned on at 8:30 p.m. that night, and this goes back to my call at about 6:30, 6:45. So that short amount of time, they had it turned back on, and it worked perfectly. The users were notified by a small water contractor who sent out an email to every user, and also we sent out a robocall notification to that area. Currently, we still have the connection with Middleborough, and DEP has testing results to switch back to the Carver water. I think Dave said, it might have been Mike, said that they expect that to be tomorrow.
So we're
they'll
still
switch
on
back over. We're still
Middleborough
on
water right
yeah,
now?
Since Friday night.
Okay.
Okay, quick question. When we switch on and off from Middleborough water, do they then have to do some kind of like, do they get brown water for a period of time?
Well,
until
and that was part of the notification, that they may see some discoloration, but it was going into the holding tank first and not going directly into the houses, so, and I asked Mike if we get a lot of complaints, and he said no. So, and the last thing is King Richard's Fair, one more week of King Richard's Fair here. But after the hearing last Friday, the police chief reported to me that all went well with the new traffic and parking plan. There was minimal issues on Route 58, which were expected. This coming weekend is the last weekend, and all the requirements of those orders that the select board made will be in place again this week. They would have liked to have additional buses, but apparently the fair tried to get additional buses because they utilized the Edaville parking lot too. And if they had additional buses, it would have reduced the number of foot traffic going to and from the fair. So they did try to get them, but the schools didn't have anybody else available that weekend. So hopefully they'll have them for this weekend.
How many buses did they use?
They had 2 buses, and they said they could have used 5. Because a lot of people were actually parking in these lots. So there was no parking on Savory. There was no parking, obviously, on 58. And all that earlier was real problems.
No, it's good to see that working.
Yeah, so that was excellent. And the chief is very pleased, so.
I just have 2
That's it.
questions, too.
Mr. Ryan?
On the Ward Street, is there any kind of a timeline? I know the residents are very concerned.
Yeah, I know.
so is there anything temporary that can be done to fill things
Dave, do you have
in?
anything
Or
more on that?
or
on the
to something to
timeline?
get them up and running?
There's
till-
no fill, it's a hole straight down
Yeah,
into the
there's
water.
no- Okay.
So I received a proposal for engineering services, which I gave to Mr. Fennessy today, which we forwarded off to legal. Once we get that back from legal, I know we asked them to put eyes on it right away. We'll have a discussion, and then hopefully move forward with that. And then I do have some timelines from them going out as far as engineering services. It's probably going to require, in the grand scheme of things, it's not a huge, the engineering is probably going to take longer than the physical work.
Okay.
Is my estimation.
So before winter, after?
I'm hoping to get it done before winter.
Okay,
Yes,
that'd be great
yep, that
to
is,
know.
that is the goal.
Okay.
Depending on, of course, now, once we get the engineering, and there's a few things I have to reach out to DCAM too, because I did apply, one of the first steps I took was to apply for an emergency waiver through DCAM, so we could expedite this as quickly as possible. I did get that, for the engineering services, I do have to reach back out to DCAM just to make sure, what process can I follow that same procedure to get this done as quickly as possible, where it is a large, more than an inconvenience. There's many things that factor in safety-wise for the town. So can I also do that with the actual construction of what needs to be done?
Okay.
And then we have to obviously discuss how we're gonna pay for this, once we know some figures as well. So that may warrant, maybe we can do it, maybe there needs to be a special town meeting, maybe
Right.
we wait. So there's a lot of pieces to the puzzle we're still waiting to come in, but I'm trying to get everything done to get the information we need as soon as possible.
So relative to an agenda item for the next meeting, I'm thinking, do we want to have something on the agenda to talk about this and maybe possible solutions for funding, and so we can keep it moving along? You know, if we had to have
Yeah,
a town
let's
meeting.
see what comes out of this.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it might be good to have
Yeah.
have it as a,
Yeah, and Mr. Fennessy, if there are no, if there are no alternative funding sources that we have to vote on, can you just include it in your town administrator update, sort of on a rolling basis?
Sure,
To just keep
yeah.
us
Right.
updated on where we are with the whole process?
And I know Mr. Fennessy's reached out to, as he stated, state reps. I know the town planner has tried to look through different county, different options. We're reaching out through the state to see if there's anything. We're trying to leave no stone unturned if there's any monies available.
Okay.
okay, good.
Thank
And then my second question, sorry, was just on the library painting. I haven't heard about an update on that in a while. Is there?
Oh.
I
That was
can
a-
give you an update on that.
There's a good one.
Yes. So the good news is we opened bids last week.
Okay.
We had one bid come in significantly lower than the others, which made me very nervous. Typically, when you have one bid significantly lower, you feel, somehow they feel
Two.
they have an end game.
Okay.
So they had all their documentation at the bid opening. Everything they needed was in their packet. I left this meeting where we opened up the bids, this meeting room, I went downstairs and called all their references. They had 5 towns for references. Every reference I called, town of Bedford, city of Revere, Provincetown, this contractor was given an A+ rating by every administrator. So after contacting all his references, I actually had the contractor in the following morning, had a conversation with him, and he says he knows. I had a very lengthy conversation with him. Seems to, and by his references, he just bid the job properly. He's not looking to make a huge profit, and just wants to get the job done and move on. So I'm very comfortable and happy. I was very nervous. Now it seems like we get a good deal. It's probably not going to be done till the spring.
Yeah.
Here's the reason being. It's all the tan on that building is stain, not paint.
Okay.
He sprays the stain and then back rolls it. Stain is more temperature sensitive than paint. We're getting into temperatures now at night.
Right.
We're probably going to sacrifice the end product if we try to get it done this fall.
Correct.
So I talked to Ms. Fennessy about that and said, and I have an understanding with the contractor, and I actually follow up with a phone call tomorrow. If we have an odd November and he can get it done, he figures 7 to 10 days for the project. If we can get it done this fall, we will. If not, I think it's in our best interest to wait till the spring. So I've already signed a contract with him that carries timeline completion of June 2024. So if we don't get it done this fall, we're still locked into that price and his services.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, thanks for the update.
You're welcome.
Anything else?
Dave.
All right, and just a couple of things from me, just on your update. I think it's important, I think, to just reiterate for everyone at home that emergency services do have alternate access into Southern Meadow Village.
Right.
So they don't have to go all the way around. They can get there pretty quickly. And I just think our town owes a big debt of gratitude to the town of Middleborough. That's all, on the whole water situation.
Yes.
We would,
Yeah.
be a very different situation if they weren't as cooperative as
Yeah,
they are.
and
So,
we'd be in a very tough situation
Yes, we would.
for the town, but,
Yes, we would.
yep.
Okay, let's see, we have minutes, licenses, topics not reasonably anticipated by the chair 48 hours in advance of the meeting. We already dealt with the one-day special license. We have a request for a fishing tournament at Sampson's Pond, East Side Sports Fishing Club on June 15th, 2024. Wow. From 3 PM to 10 PM. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second discussion. Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? It is unanimous. Thank you. We have the minutes of September 5th, 2023, September 19th, 2023, and September 26th, 2023. We voted to approve these at the last meeting, but in light of the open meeting law violation complaint we got, we felt it best to put it back on the agenda and approve those again.
Okay.
So is there a motion to approve the minutes of September 5th, 2023?
I move we do.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Unanimous, thank you.
I'm not sure which one, I know I missed one of those meetings.
So if I may, you can still vote on those.
You can still
Okay.
vote.
Yeah, it doesn't bar you from voting, just so you know, because I know that comes up a lot.
Yep.
You know, but I looked at some laws and, yeah,
Just don't want any other.
I know, another complaint.
All right, September 19th, 2023.
Move to approve the minutes.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion? Hearing none. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? It is unanimous, thank you. And September 26th, 2023.
I'll move to approve the minutes.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? It is unanimous, thank you. Select Board announcements. Mr. Ryan.
I don't have any, except I hope we can continue to work on the Ward Street. I'm concerned about that before winter sets in. It'd be good to get that, getting that taken care of.
Absolutely.
Doing our best.
Yeah. I don't have anything for tonight, thank you.
All right. Ms. Hewens.
Yes, I just want to continue to remind people to donate to our food pantry.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Mr. Hoffman.
I'm all set for now.
All right, thank you. And I just have one, just a reminder that South Meadow Village is holding their Holly Fair on Saturday, October 21st, 2023, from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the clubhouse. And remember, if you want to attend the fair, you have to enter through Plymouth. The Ward Street access is closed. Our next meeting will be on November 7th. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion and a second. Discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? It is unanimous. Thank you very much.